Hi, everybody, and welcome to Journalism 101, the online version for critical analysis of the mass media, one of the three pre-major courses required of all folks who think they want to come on into our school and become a major. I'm your professor, Dr. Paul Trout. I've been teaching versions of Survey of Mass Communication for over 30 years. I've been teaching online courses like this in this class for over 10 years. I supervise both sections of 101, including the traditional lecture version taught by graduate assistants who use a great deal of this online part of the course as part of things that are going on in that class or section as well. Part one of this video is going to introduce you and review what are some of the fundamental student computing skills you need to have in order to be successful in this class. We'll give you some solutions for what to do when you get stuck. And remember that I'm not tech support, but there is 24/7 tech support available to you for this class. We'll talk in general about online classes and what successful online students do and don't assume about these kinds of courses. We'll help you get started in this class, and then we'll talk about the textbook and semester breakdown. Part two of this course will talk more about course activities and some final words about what we do and don't allow in terms of makeups, in terms of extra credit, to remind you about the problems of cheating and how we address that in this class, and ways to contact me, your professor. So let's talk about student computing skills. First of all, you need to make sure that your computer is running and ready to go in terms of Web Campus, and this becomes critical now, but also particularly during exam time. We cannot allow you to not take an exam or complete an exam because you didn't do your homework and make sure that your computer wasn't ready in terms of what's required of it, in terms of bells and whistles and settings, so as to run Web Campus efficiently. So go to the Web Campus student support area and run the diagnostics that they provide you in the way of software so that they can look at your computer and make sure that you're ready to go. And if not, make those changes so that you are. If this is your first online course, I encourage you to get into the class right now if you haven't done so already and explore things. Get kind of familiar or have a window open on the class as I'm talking and explore things as I talk about it. Also make sure that you've already downloaded or read, and ideally for some of you have printed the syllabus and the semester critical dates document, which is wonderful for stripping into your calendar in terms of bits and pieces of information to remind you about upcoming deadlines and dates. And also, if you want, a copy of this PowerPoint presentation so that you can follow it as we move forward. The basic computing skills that are required of you this semester is your ability to create a document through word processing, ideally Word. You have to be able to save it to Word. We can't read and edit PDF files in this class yet. So we need you to create documents in Word. We need to be able to save. You need to be able to save those documents. We need you to be able to upload those documents as attachment files. We need you to be able to copy commentary that you've created and paste it into dialog boxes. All right, those are pretty fundamental processing skills, but you need to have those down pat in order to be successful this semester. So if you're ready, let's move on. All right, there are two sources for information in this class. One is me, and one is Web Campus Student Help Desk. There's the phone number. You might want to go ahead and put it into your smartphone so that you have it at your disposal should you need it over the course of the semester. They are open daily from 7 a.m. until 11 p.m. All right, so that should be a word of warning to those of you who take my exams to understand that even though that exam is open from 6 in the morning until midnight, you probably should take the exam always within a cushion surrounding when Web Campus student support is open should you run into any difficulties. So if you have technical problems, if your computer locks up and freezes, if you get blown out of an exam, I can't help you there. I can reset it for you if it's warranted, but in terms of checking what's going on diagnostically with you, that's all Web Campus student help. All right? Now, course content problems, questions that you have about what we're discussing at any particular time during a weekly module, you contact me, obviously, via Web Campus email. So go to the email tool in the class and then click on that and then pull up my name and then send your little message in the dialog box. Please do not use my regular email because you're going to get lost in the swamp that's my daily email in terms of all other kinds of business. All right, what about online classes? Well, first of all, it's obvious just in terms of how we're doing this today that this is a very, very different situation than traditional courses. Face-to-face communication is rare. I welcome that you come in and talk to me during office hours. You want to come talk to me? Please check my office hours in the syllabus and show up at my office door, maybe make an appointment because I tend to get busy certain times of the year. But I'm always here for students during office hours. Just make sure that you schedule time to see me. But that doesn't happen too often in online courses. We generally communicate by email and discussion groups in this class. And that kind of communication is different. It requires that you be much more clear in terms of what the situation is, what the issue is, what you've done, and what you want me to do or what kind of assistance you need. So avoid and refrain from using shorthand and think about your audience so that you can communicate clearly to me. Otherwise, the first thing I'm going to say to you in terms of an email response is, I don't understand what you're asking me. So make sure you provide a larger background and context whenever possible. Online communication, online courses provide time for reflection. Some students who are more reticent to communicate in traditional classes tend to like online classes because they're not dominated by people who sometimes speak too much. Here you have the opportunity to think about what you want to say in the way of response, say for a particular discussion that we might be having, and we have two at the end of the semester or second half of the semester. But you're not going to be crowded out by others who have stronger views or who tend to be louder than you. So it brings everybody up into the same level, and there's parity, if you will, in terms of online communication. There are no paralinguistic cues like in my traditional lecture classes. I can't tell whether you're sleeping. I can't tell whether you're excited. I can't tell whether you're confused through your nonverbal facial cues. So again, you need to provide some of that contextualization when you email me or you're talking to me about things. One of the things we know from online classes, and I've seen this side by side with the traditional version of the course I teach, that students learn as much, if not more, in online courses. And the reason is because you're reading the text, and most of the time we're discussing or testing on the text alone. So we have discovered in teaching both sections of this class, the online and the traditional version, that in terms of knowledge, later on in the major, that folks in this online course tend to learn more because you are more responsible for the written content primarily from the textbook. We also know that students, although some students fall into the trap of thinking they can put this thing off, and then they end up putting it off another week and another week, and they inevitably fail. We also know that students spend as much time, if not more, in an online class. And I've done research on this, folks, and we know that folks that spend more time in this online class get higher grades. That's true for any kind of an educational situation, but it's particularly true for online courses. And we can track how much time you spend here. Bear in mind, there's an entire part of Web Campus that you never see, and we have student tracking tools, so I know where you are, when you're there, what you're accessing, what you haven't accessed. So online courses are obviously great for you non-traditional learners, but also students who are working full-time jobs, because you can access this class at your convenience. Again, the key here is to make sure that you do on a regular basis. There's a falsehood out there that these are somehow easier courses. Talk to anybody who's had an online class, and they'll tell you, well, it's not. You have to work just as hard, if not harder. And there's also this illusion that they're not as effective. Well, they're financially effective for universities because they save seats and chairs, and they save physical plant and physical spaces. But I don't care about that component. I know they're more effective because you're required to focus more on traditional paths of learning, including reading and digesting information. So, successful online students are proficient keyboard typists. You are self-starters. You're highly motivated to do well in this class. You set aside time every week to study for this course, so you are disciplined in terms of schedules. You don't procrastinate. You embrace this delayed back and forth asynchronous nature of online course communication, and you're comfortable in this environment where traditional classroom lecturing is absent. And so those are the basic things I wanted to talk about in part 1. We'll get back to you in just a sec after you click on part 2. Thanks so much for watching.